For coming. This is Poetic Breakdown, transformational workshop. I am Charlene E. Green, and everybody here knows that. So most of you know what I do, but if you don't, I'm going to sort of explain what's happening and why the workshop is what it is. So I am an author, I'm an editor and literary consultant, and I'm also a life consultant. So I write novels, I write poetry, and I write self-help. So 3 of my self-help books turned into a business that is called Honor the Spirit. And that happened because my poetry is directly related to a lot of the self-help that I do. So what happened is when I started doing poetry I really started doing it in 2005, but I got scared and ran away for 3 years because I was out there among a bunch of professionals, and they all scared me because they were all doing what I'm about to do that I didn't think I could do. So I started doing some performing in 2005, and then I was like, uh-oh, nope, that's not for me. Everybody else knows what they're doing, and I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm going to go away. So I went away for 3 years, and I continued to write the poems. And then I started realizing there was a theme happening with my poetry, which was sort of like self-esteem, self-reflection, and that is because for 31 years I have practiced Buddhism. And so within my Buddhist practice, that is a staple, which is like your life is your responsibility. Everything that you do, everything that you experience is yours to handle. So Buddhism is really my foundation for the work that I do. And it kind of slips through in my work. So my poetry turned into performances. I came back in 2008 and started doing it professionally. And then people started asking me about the content. And that is what led to conversations about like transforming your life. And then I wrote these 3 self-help books over the span of like 5 years. And all of the conversations that I have with people always end up with them asking me something about how do I XYZ. So you could buy the self-help book and that works well, except for there's a whole other conversation that happens outside of the book. And that's why I created Honor the Spirit. So Honor the Spirit is, so I'm a self-mastery catalyst. So self-mastery is the controlling your thoughts, words, and actions. And I'm the catalyst because of how I say what I say. So the way that I do my poems and the way that I do my consultations and what's written in my books is all designed to help you tap into yourself so you can transform your life. You can have a seat. Please come in. So Honor the Spirit is about, so my goal with that is helping people build strong self-esteem through implementing the courage to pursue their best interests at all times. So self-esteem is like this really big subject that people have this much of a view of. So self-esteem is not just about I look good today or I feel sort of good today. Self-esteem is about how you carry yourself throughout your life. Your relationships, the decisions you make for your life, all of that stuff plays into your self-worth. And so honoring your spirit is the key. I figured it out. Like I figured out that in order for you to have peace of mind and like carry out a relatively happy life, because stuff's always going to be happening. All kinds of negative things happen, whatever, but how you handle it is where you get the happiness from. Okay, so your spirit is always talking to you. You already know what you need to be doing for you. What happens is everything outside of you starts playing into your decision if you let it. So what happens is you might know that you need to leave your job because you're unhappy and because it's not the right place for you. But if that job pays a lot of money, and you have a roof over your head and you have a car and you have all these things, right? Then you're like, I can't leave that job. Then I won't have XYZ 1, 2, 3. So your spirit is always saying like, this is not the place. We got to go. So you don't do it. And then you're unhappy and you for years and years, you're at this job and you hate it, but you got the paycheck. But you don't enjoy anything else that you're doing with the paycheck because your spirit is down, is crushed, okay? So in that way, if you don't honor your spirit and make the move that you know is the best for your happiness, you're going to be unhappy. That's just how it is. There's no way around it. If you do not honor your spirit, you're going to be unhappy. I don't care what the situation is. I don't care if it's you went and got pizza instead of a box of cereal. Whatever. Seriously, if you don't do what your spirit, that's the guide. Your spirit is always telling you what you need to do. The question is, are you going to do it? Okay? So that is where self-esteem comes in, because every time you dishonor your spirit, you take a crack at your self-esteem. And then that's a little more every day that you feel bad about yourself. And that you feel, and so also when you don't honor your spirit, then you start thinking that you don't know how to make the right decisions for yourself. Because every time you do something and it turns out bad, you're like, see, I can't even like handle my own life. Okay? But you can, but you have to push past the fear. That's where everybody, even me, that's where we get caught up. If I do X, Y, Z, that might happen, or that might happen. And that's where we stop. So my job and what I do is to help people push, even me. So I do the work, and then I teach the work. So I don't teach anything that I have not done or I am not continuously doing. If I haven't done it, I can't talk to you about it. Okay? So my poetry, so this workshop is going to be on that level. Most of my poems are about that, about honoring your spirit in some type of way. And so what you're about to do, you have two pieces of paper in your chair and a pen. So I'm going to recite a poem, and the poem is going to be what you're going to use to do the worksheet. And you have a copy of the poem so you can refer to it while you're doing the worksheet. So what's going to happen is I'm going to do the poem, and then for about 10 or so minutes, you're going to do your worksheet. And then when I come back to you, I'm going to do the backstory on the poem, and I'm going to start the discussion. So this really works if somebody is brave enough to discuss what's on their paper. You don't have to get like all into the deep details, but the open discussion is really great if like one or two people open up and speak on what they've discovered about themselves through what we're about to do. Okay, so if you're shy, don't worry about it. Somebody's going to say something, and then there's going to be an entire discussion. Watch and see. So, all right. So the poem that I'm about to do for you, it's in your hand. It's called Affliction. It was formerly called My Name is Regret. All right. Sorry. Do you want to come sit down? You sure? Okay. All right. You ready?
Ready?
Yeah. What's going on here? I think it's me. All right, here we go. My name is Regret. I'm the slickest, trickiest manipulator alive. You think I reside in a space and time separate from you. But oh, silly rabbit, didn't I just say I was the trickiest? And I ain't just for kids. My game is tight. I run it on all of you, women and men, boys and girls. I don't discriminate. My job is to wreak as much havoc on your psyche as many times a day as I can. See, I live in the backyard of the intuition you refuse to heed, where I buoyantly wait for your train wreck decisions to play out like a string of box office flops. I'm always packed and ready to make my ascent to the height of your emotions, pitch my tent, camp out in your cognizance, hike the trails of your thoughts, hunt for the frailest of them, lie in wait, and then pray. I pray so hard for you to second guess yourself, give in to the pressures of people and life, and slip into the abyss of situations that'll be the death of your sanity. I bank on you being steeped chin deep in your insecurities, depleted self-esteem, and lack of faith in your ability to navigate your storms. Like the uncontrollable force of quicksand, your financial fears, need for acceptance and love, craving for material things that you mistakenly rely on for joy, they squeeze you breathless, sink you into a state of panic where you can't picture a healthy way forward, where you believe you have no choice but to surrender to inferior options. I'll cheer as you tumble down the dark hole of sleepless nights, random outbursts of unruly sobbing, churning stomach syndrome, fear of retaliation, longing for second chances, mental and physical tumult. Oh, the thought of your constant misery, self-hatred, and endless discomfort makes my glands all waterfall, has me salivating like a ravenous wolf, fangs bared, anticipation dripping from my tongue like fresh tree sap. I can taste every drop of the remorse that will hemorrhage through the bitter tears whose streaks will tattoo your cheeks in the boldest font, so that every time you look in the mirror, you'll be forced to remember the scenarios you chose that backfired, the times you cocked your mouth, emptied its chamber, and annihilated people with words you can't take back. How you betrayed yourself, forfeited your happiness repeatedly, because cowardice is your addiction, the crack in your brain's pipeline decomposing your faculties. And I will roar in amusement, beat my chest with arrogance, revel in the ease of my accomplishment, in the depth of your weakness. Then I will smugly make my way back to the yard, where I will kick my feet up and slumber peacefully, delighted that your life has yet again reached a new level of inescapable hell.
Wow.
Okay, so does anybody need to hear the poem again?
Yes, please.
No, if you do, I'll do it again. Some people.
Just hear it.
So okay. Tamika, you want to hear it again?
No, I'm just kidding.
Does anybody? You don't need to, but okay. So for the next 10 minutes or so, you have a 5-question worksheet in front of you. I'm sorry that I don't have like something hard for you to lay that on to write on. But if you'll take about 10 minutes and answer those questions, I'm going to come back, and then we're going to have an open discussion that I'm going to start off, and that's where the fun is going to happen. Okay? So I'll see you in about 10 minutes.